Mainland China is sending a medical team to Hong Kong as the city deals with a surge in coronavirus cases. Hong Kong's government reported 80 new cases today. It is the first time in 12 days officials have reported fewer than 100 new infections. Still, the high numbers are causing alarm in the city, which had been hailed as a model for containing the virus. In total, Hong Kong has seen close to 3,600 cases. So we want to bring in Joy Yu Wang now. She's a social media editor at the Wall Street Journal, based in Hong Kong. Joy Yu, earlier in the summer, Hong Kong went 3 weeks with no new local infections and was really seen as an example of how to contain the virus. So what's happening now? Why are we seeing a recent surge in cases?
So we spoke to the local health experts, and a lot of the expert telling us there's many factors behind what they believe that the current resurgence, and a common theme that they would many of them would agree on was the quarantine and also testing exemptions for some foreign arrivals, such as pilots, airline, and cargo ship crew, and they were exempted from quarantine, the mandatory quarantine, and also they are not required for testing. And they believe that they was one of the what they called like a loophole in the pandemic measures. And what we've seen this time, which is different, what we call it is called the third wave, so-called the third wave coronavirus, because from the first time that we've seen, which is like in late January, when some visitor from Wuhan, China, which was the original outbreak of the coronavirus. Most of them are imported cases, and also in March, which also dubbed the second wave of the coronavirus, which is like a lot of overseas students returning from Western country or other countries, and most of them are imported cases. But this time we've seen, a lot of local cases. Actually, about 2/3 of them, the new cases are added over the past month, and a majority of them are local cases. So the government has, tightened the measures for this, the latest outbreak here.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you, because it seems like when you describe each of the waves, they start with people from outside Hong Kong traveling to Hong Kong from areas that we know that there might be, spikes in cases or whatever. You mentioned this loophole with this third wave where some people were exempt, like pilots, from quarantining and stuff. So are they looking to change some of these guidelines and close up some of those loopholes?
Yes, they did. The government actually, on the thing last week, they changed the policy. So they suspended those cargo ship crew members from changing shifts in Hong Kong. So in a way that addressing the doctors' concerns, and also they also tightened the travel restrictions, especially such as for from the US. Now they have to be tested before they boarding on their flights, and also they needed to prove that they're like a proof of hotel requirements, so that they have to do their 2 weeks quarantine at the hotel in Hong Kong.
So, Joyu, the thing about Hong Kong that makes it different than a lot of other places is that when the government starts to place restrictions on the population, there's always people who are going to be concerned that those restrictions have less to do with public health and more to do with public control. And so we're hearing now that elections in Hong Kong may be postponed because of the coronavirus, but there are critics that say, this is really just about cracking down on political freedom. What can you tell us?
That's right. So the city's leader, Carrie Lam, earlier this week just announced that like a postponement of the city's legislative elections for 1 year. Yes. On one hand, the Beijing politicians here have been, urging, a postponement, citing the same, public health risk. But on the other hand, the opposition side, they would say this is like a part of, like a continuing political crackdowns, since China imposed the national security law on the city almost a month now. So, and there are also some local health expert would think, the reasons, citing the coronavirus pandemic might not be so legitimate, as in, they would say, they like places like South Korea and also Singapore, they have actually held the elections, in April for South Korean and also for Singapore, which is like last month. So, but of course, the city's leader, Carrie Lam, thinks it's different cases for Hong Kong because, for example, like Singapore, people are allowed to vote at the consulate overseas, but, it's not the case for Hong Kong. And she also cited, places like New South Wales in Australia, which is, they also delayed the election. So, this seems, for a lot of, especially like pro-democracy supporter here in Hong Kong, they wouldn't see this as like, a pure healthcare move, but rather than a more political, steps by Hong Kong and also by the Beijing government.
Yeah, indeed. Joyu, thank you so much.
Thank you.